Okay, I'm ready to put on the first bit of color. Again, if you haven't been following me, the cadmium yellow light, cadmium yellow dark, cadmium orange, cadmium red light. I don't know where else I'm going in the reds, but I know that will be the poppy and the rudbeckia or the black-eyed Susan. May go a little bit darker in the poppy. I'm not quite sure. The leaves are cadmium yellow lemon, leaf green, and viridian green. I used Da Vinci watercolors. Uh, okay, the blue, that is cobalt blue, ultramarine blue, and Prussian blue, purple, and some purple. Okay, so we'll get out, but we're going to take it one step at a time. I don't know why, but I always start with yellow. Well, I do know why. Because in my color theory, yellow is the lightest color on the color wheel. Before the light is the white. The white. So the trick to watercolor, because you cannot go back and paint white, is to try it. It's like a game. Make it a game. Maybe you win, maybe you don't win. Is to try to leave as much white as possible. There's a lot of white right in here. It's a yellowish green, which with a little bit of orange. So you potentially could make a dark, muddy color right there. Okay, so anyway, what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with foreground to background. Then I'll go and then I'll go from very foreground, middle to middle ground, and then background to middle ground to foreground. So I go back and forth. Okay, so here we go. This side is more, and I've said this over too, I try to paint my petals in the direction that they're going. They're going out from this center in my mind. Some people might say, well, maybe they're not. They're going out from the center. See right there? They're going out from the center. That's the way nature made it. The petals coming right at you. This is an elliptical thing because he's turning kind of away. Also, notice this, every petal's not the same distance. A real good way to spot an amateur is to see if every petal's the same and looks, and is the same length, the same shape, the same, no. Life is not the same. If you get too much, and even if it were, I'd say change it up a little bit, just so we don't bore the viewers to death, but they're not the same. So I have that. Now, I will say this while I'm at it. There's also a little bit of yellow right here on where the sun is hitting that poppy. A little bit. But I can't go all the way back because back in the back there's going to be a purplish color, and purple and yellow make brown. So I'm going to go ahead and suggest although that's kind of leafy green, I'm going to paint it in a cadmium yellow light, which is an orangey, because he has sort of an orangey feel to it. So I've kind of suggested all of these things. Let me go ahead and I'm going to go to cadmium dark now. The back of this, the petals that are sticking up are causing a shadow. So an amateur would say, what color? Well, it's yellow. Well, what color yellow? There are a trillion colors of yellow. Just every, my theme is look, don't just look, see. Which color yellow is it? Which color yellow? Now, whereas I'm scooting these starry things into the center, this poppy's going to have more of a swirled stroke. Okay, and I'm going to real quickly go into orange. You say, well, he's red. Poppy's red. Well, he's really a lot of orange, especially this one. This one's not that brilliant poppy that we all think about. In fact, let me just make that point. Think about. Well, what we think about and what's really there are probably not the same thing. So one of the first ways to start seeing things is to turn off your think about and just look. Don't, poppies are red. They're dark red. They're scarlet red. And they have black center. Well, this one doesn't have a black center. And he's also not scarlet red. He's more of an orange. Okay, I'm going to bring some orange over here. Now, okay, squint your eyes and look at this. Compositionally, I need to repeat my yellows everywhere. Well, where on the canvas do I not? Over here, no yellow yet. So I'm going to figure out some way, maybe right here, no orange either. Right there in that petal right there. I might bring in the yellows and the oranges. But let me go on right here. Now I'm in cadmium red light. The back of the poppy is darker. He's darker in the center. Not that black poppy that I love to paint. In fact, I had the whole design series, the poppy, and all of them had black. In fact, it was just extremely black. And we're not seeing that right here. I'm going to put just a tiny bit of red right there. And then right here, I'm going to make the first mark of the first indication of my center for the black-eyed Susan right there. Okay. I'm going to go to cadmium red dark right now. Yeah, that's what that is. And bring in a little bit of darker colors. But you're going to find out, I control where I touch. If I don't want something to rush back into the whole rest of the world, I don't let the colors touch. Okay, I'm going to put this a little bit of this color right here. And I'm going to stop right there. That's what I've done, some yellows and some reds, oranges and reds. I actually could go ahead, rinse my brush and wipe it, because when I switch to the green, in places that do not touch, hear me, that do not touch what I've painted, I can go ahead and start. I'm going to use I'm going to use clean water, rinse my brush and wipe it. I'm going to start switching to a different color. The cadmium yellow lemon. because cadmium yellow lemon and cadmium yellow light are not the same colors. One is has a greenish lemon, and one is not. Okay, constantly look. Some things are running into places that I did not. And that's I think probably the biggest thrill or heartbreak in watercolor is we make plans and the watercolor laughs. The watercolor kind of does its own thing. And so you have to learn how to adjust your priorities in your plans constantly. That's not what I planned. Well, guess what? Reevaluate. See what you can do with what happened. Don't hang on to something that's impossible. I'm going to indicate a little bit of a little bit darker color with this leaf green. In some places. I just did a video on shade, and I didn't really was talking about the shade that saves us from the blistering sun. Well, shade is real, and there are parts of your painting that are going to be living in shade, and that shade is a place that you can take, light is light, but if everything's light, we're not going to even see the light. It's just all going to be the same. It takes some dark and some shade to make us see the light. At the base of right where the Bachelor buttons go into their blossom, there's a little package, a little neat box there, kind of. And it's kind of a little greenish. It's a little green box out right here at the base where the Bachelor buttons are coming out. There are no straight sticks. Well, this is the straightest looking stick. Everything else is leaning. The Bachelor, I don't think Bachelor button stems are capable of being straight. At least none of the ones that I grow are. They all have this little, before I knew better, I tried to sell some flowers at a farmer's market, and the lady said, and all I had were Bachelor buttons and poppies, and all of them were weeping and leaning and dancing and swaying and bowing. And the lady said, "Don't you have any that aren't any wilted?" I said, I just cut these 30 minutes ago. They're not wilted. That's just the way that that particular plant is made. Don't expect things to be something that they aren't. So anyway, I stopped. I had the first coat, I have yellows, I have oranges, I have reds, and I have light greens. Okay, we'll let that dry. I'll let it dry naturally flat and air dry a long time.